ɗum feƴƴi hakkunde ma e maɓɓe ko honɗum waɗiti
nde ɗum ɗum feƴƴi ɓen to ɓe wi lamme an ɓe gaccete.
That was the time when they informed me that, well, we will release you.
Juuɗi ha on the 10 on the 10.
We were there until on the 10th.
On the 10th June.
On the 10th of June.
Can you tell the commission of what year?
2007.
It was in 2007.
You may continue.
Victor.
And that is the time when they released Esa Baji and Victor. Then after some time, I asked Musa Kinte, you told me that I will be released. Now, what's happening? He said, no, just wait, we will release you.
On the 13th June,
it was that time I was still there until on the 13th of June when Boubacar Jallo came to inform me that my wife has delivered. Then I said, thanks to Allah. As far as nothing wrong has happened to her, then I asked him, what did she get? She delivered a girl.
Okay.
I said, okay.
On the 18th June.
I was still there till 18th of June.
I
asked Musa Kinte again.
We could hand them for no my to the Kono, yes, or Jamen or we join Anka, Koto, Mewada, much to the Siso of Halaka Halaka, Achima, Ayatma Halaka.
Mr. Balde.
He didn't give me the name directly to say it was Mr. So-and-so. But usually when they talk like that, their leader at that instant, their unit leader was called Demba Sow. I cannot, so or from somebody else they were taking their commands from. But at
Mr. Balde, at that time, do you know who the DG of NIA was?
Johnny Nini ga wonɗo Mr. Balde nda on jamanu da anduno ko hombo wonno yesojo woni ngon hogoɗo NIA.
Yes.
Can you tell this commission his name?
Dayda wawi haalande commission ko wonno hombo ko honno woni inde makko.
It was somebody called Pa Jallo.
You may continue.
We were there until on Tuesday, the 19th of June.
Around
3 p.m. in the afternoon. I saw them coming down the stairs from the story building, the NIA officers.
It is a job, Musa Kinte, Samba Gajaga, Lamin Dabo.
It is a job, Musa Kinte, Lamin Dabo, and Samba Gajaga. They went and opened the door of the cells.
Mr. Witness, it is correct to say that the officers you saw coming down were the same officers who were in your panel investigation team?
Seeda o wi no ini ko gonga wondama be yino da ban hibe jippo ka do étage on dow ko be wonno yimbe be andana ma wondo ko on ange mabbe wonduno e do dun suudu dow ka étage ko ange mabbe wonduno tan.
Yes, they were the same people.
They udito selji di nder enayet nekata wobbe no ka selji kono min mi andani.
When they came down, they went and opened the doors of the cells. On the whole, there were some people incarcerated in those cells, but I was not aware of that. I saw them bringing out people from the cells. At the time when they called me.
Do you remember how many cells you saw that day?
It was 2 cells. They brought some from the other cell and brought other people from the other cell.
Do you remember how many people you saw being brought out of the cells?
da hida way manida da nyanyanda ko yimbe jela yuuda be yaltini ben edin seluji dibi
kana mi konta be paso mi andi be few jon bar men boyduno mayelto.
Well, I can count them because I can remember some of them now because we were staying together for some time at the Mile 2 prison.
Can you give us a rough estimate of how many people there were?
da hida way joni de misal ko yimbe jela wonno
It was 13 of us.
You may continue to tell the commission what happened after they were brought out of the cells.
yoni da way jettide don halana commission on ko hondu wadi gila yida be yaltini be kan din seluji mabbe
be yaltini be bari be jawni men be yemme be noddi me be yemme jawka otoji be addi otoji ni.
They brought them out and they told me to join them. We were parked at the gate.
Otoji tati.
There were 3 vehicles.
Men on direct Mile 2.
We went on board.
Can you tell the commission how many to Mile 2?
da hida way ko on jelo be fejjin nabugol ka kaso jano ton du woni Mile 2
Of us.
And how many NIA agents escorted you to Mile 2 prisons?
liggotobe he hodo NIA ngong ben don ko yimbe jelo fejjini on ko yimbe jelo yaade mabbe
ambe NIA ben ko wonno ton ko Idrissa Jo
Dabo, Musa Kinte and Samba Gajaga.
kono tay be wondi auto para.
But there was a vehicle where you have paramilitary officers.
No yuri bawa ame.
That vehicle was following us.
Can you tell the commission?
Office director.
When we reached Mile 2 prison, they took us directly to the office of the director of prisons.
What
they said to the man was, these people are our detainees. We are leaving them under your custody until we need them again.
Mr. Balde, at that time, do you know who was the DG of the prisons?
jamanu da hida andi ko hombo wonno yeso hodo ka kasoton
Yes.
Can you tell the commission?
ida way halande commission on joni ko hombo wonno yeso jon don ka hodo ton ka kasoton
ay asafula da David ko no hebi problem be balle boyrano ko debbo goddo akujo wonno to mejitino ko anti rek be weno ko député directeur ko Yaya Jeju.
The deputy director was called Yaya Jeju, but the person, the acting director, I cannot remember her name. It was a lady. We just call her Auntie. This is why I was unable to catch her name. Because at that time, David Colley was in a problem.
Can you tell the commission the prison officers who met you at the DG's office, their names?
joni nini gilabe yottini on ka hodo ka dum woni ka kasoton da hida way halande yimbe ben liggotobe ka kasoton be gollaybe ton ben ko hombe jabbino on don gilabe nabi on NIA be nabi ko hombe jabbino on don gollano be ka kasoton
de men nata ame yoti ko goton wono ton no we jomendi on no wono sergeant officer.
Well, when we arrived, we were met by one sergeant officer called Joe Mendy.
We met in Dari ni ta do wadi men cheki bandi la met ni fo be Dari kala ko jogi no ta jogi cigarette fi mo kala ko jogi ta be jefta be nadi men der kanko men tawono der ton kanko no sergeant office sergeant in charge.
We were lined up and searched, and because they were looking for anything that we had, like cigarettes and other things. After they searched us, then this Joe Mendy, the sergeant in charge, is the person whom we met there.
Mr. Witness, before you were taken to Mile 2, were you taken to any court of law?
wi do be nabu don ka hodo don woni ka kasoton dabbe nabu non yeso nyaawore ka court be nyaawa
No, that didn't happen.
At this time, were you aware of committed?
I still don't know my crime I have committed.
Can you tell the commission what happened when you got to Mali?
Don't have a regular Yahudon Hahudon Kasoto.
Come here.
Indeed, we had no being cell, beta security number 4.
When they took me security wing number 4 and put on
non time do wadi confuse mi do ko jango munni foti wonde den nabo an
because that day I was the naming ceremony of my baby.
Baba Job ari hadari ka damugala.
Baba Job
wi mi andimi. Baba Job go to Sokano to mile to.
It was the same Baba Job who was also incarcerated.
Continue.
Etirdo.
To ari dari mi wi mi da andi mi wi mo mi ala. Ko mi ko mi wite Baba Job.
He came and stood on my cell door and said to me, "Do you know me?" I said, "No, I don't know you." That's the time he said, "Well, I am called Baba Job." I said, "Yes, I used to see you, but we were not acquainted, because even at the port, I used to see you."
Isa Balde, Hamadiso,
advising me, Balde and Hamadiso. They were the people who were
not the officer or to sell.
That's the time when Baba Joe called one officer and told him to open my cell door.
Civilian at your own, I asked.
And said to him, "This man is a civilian, leave him to stay outside." Then that's the time I went and sat with them, and they went on talking to me, trying to calm me down until I was a little bit relieved. But sometimes I used to feel dizzy. And that's the time when they went and called a medic who came and checked me and discovered that my pressure really has gone up. And that's the day he gave me some medicine to drink to bring my pressure down. And from that day up to this minute, I kept on suffering this pressure.
Mr. Balde, up to that time of you being taken to Mile 2, did you receive any treatment for your injuries that you sustained during the torture?
At that time, I was not given any treatment, no medication.
Continue.
Continue.
Then that day, I was really suffering. My head was paining. I was suffering. That was the time when Baba Job called this medic. And the NIA people were also called. And gave them, and they informed them that this person we brought here is not well, he's sick.
Musa Kinte, Job, hospital.
That was the time when Musa Kinte and Idrissa Job came and they took me to the hospital in Banjul.
Can you tell this commission why the prison officers were unable to take you to RVTH for medication?
We joined the Hidawa Highland Commission. Kondun Taki, Ligo Benka Hodon. And the Casotom, then don't take it Kalobudan Burbanyan Yama.
And I can be taken after detention of Velana Mount Debo.
Well, at that time, the woman in charge didn't like this detainee affair. People who were detained there, she didn't like dealing with them at all. Because her reason was the NIA people come and dump detainees there. They are not taken to court. Nothing is done about them. They are just left languishing there. This is why she said, as far as the NIA are the people who brought these detainees here, if any one of them gets sick, let them come for the passing and go and treat the person, because they are the ones who brought these detainees here.
So you're telling this commission that it was only the NIA agents who brought detainees into Mile 2 who were allowed to also take them out when necessary?
Joni awa hino wa ini afa ko wiata kon commission ko duwoni ko NIA men tan kambe woni yimbe be andanda ma wonde ma be adda yimbe ka kaso ton be ara be joddina be ton to kambe tan hebata dole den kadi pour be arana be ton si be haajoribe.
Yes, at that time.
Continue to tell the commission what happened next after your treatment.
Joni da wa yettude don hala na commission non ko honnu waditi gilande mabbe nabuma pour nyawndu ma.
Be nyawdi be hebi lekele be arti kono tawi
Yes, and give me medication. I was treated, but at that time, that was the time when I came to know Musa Kinte really. That was the time when Musa Kinte went to my house and went to my wife and told her that if you want your husband to be released, you have to give us money. Then my wife gave him $30,000
at first.
At first. Because he found my younger brother sitting down there. Then later he came back and he was given another $40,000. And between that and around that time, then I sent one officer to my home before all that to inform them that I am still alive. I wrote a letter because they wouldn't allow pens inside there. I wrote the letter with a pencil and gave it to them. Just for my wife to confirm that I am alive, I wrote a name there who only my wife knows, so that she will believe that the letter is from me. When my elder brother read the letter, he said yes, this letter was written by my younger brother, Mouniny.
Can you tell this commission what happened to the monies that Musa Kinte collected from your wife in the sum of $75,000?
Joni nda hida way halande commission non ko hondu wadi dim mbudi di andanda ma wonde o wiete Musa Kinte o ari e be ngure be nguma o jabi di mbudi ko andanda yahay guluji capande jeedi e jowi ko hondu wadi de
ko capande jeedi
70,000.
It was 70,000.
Thank you for that correction. Continue.
O ya jarama e der ngol labbinore joni hida way jettide don
I don't know what happened to the monies. He just came and collected these monies from my wife and took it.
Did he at any time facilitate your release from detention?
That's
what he told.
Were you released?
They never released.
Can you tell the commission what your stay was like at Mile 2 prisons?
Yes, I was just kept at Mile 2 prisons. Then after I learned what happened, then I sent somebody else to my wife and told her that let her not give any money to anybody else again who comes there to demand for money. What happened when I was selling, whatever money I collected from the business, I used to take the money to the bank on Fridays.
Parce que what I heard the bank ji heewirani tay ko Westfield wadi bank sa yahi ka bank munde aranga ha boy.
Because in those days there were not many banks here. It was the bank which was at Westfield was the bank where I usually take the money. And at that time, if you go there, you will stand in a queue for quite a long time. This is why I left that amount of money at home so that the following Monday I can go and buy more things so that I will continue with the business. At that time I kept 450,000 in the house there, but my wife didn't know where all the money was kept.
But at
that time I have left $2,000 with her for safekeeping. That money was with her, but she didn't know where the other monies were kept.
Police station
when I was at the Kotu police station, that was the time I told her in our telephone conversation where the money was kept. That was why Musa Kinte was able to collect these 70,000 from her.
Mr. Witness, can you tell this commission if you were ever charged with an offense?
Joni ni nahida wai halande commission onda koko nangano watu mo nangano na adon fo ndabbe be di ma tegude tumal be wi ma wonde mako dum do waduda ko dum do bonnuda e songo luwa on ko dum daki min nanguma
wallahi comme sifani on do ko ni woni.
I swear to God, just as I narrated to, that's what happened. They never charged me.
Were you eventually taken to court?
Daka sakitoron dum be nabuno maka court pour nyaawugol ma
inde me woni ha maybe on the 10th June.
I was there until after 2 years because on the 10th of June.
Well, on the 3rd June.
Sorry, it was on the 3rd of June.
And I
when the NI came and collected all the detainees at Mile 2.
Can you tell us what year?
2009.
It was in 2009.
And when you say all the detainees, can you be more specific for the commission to understand?
Joni si awi onon be warabe detain be don onon jodinabe ton be fop da hida way don labbinde ko hondu dum firdi ko non hono ko ngelo.
Well, we were just languishing in prison there as detainees. Some spent a year, some were even longer there than a year, and we were also brought there and we joined them there. We were all together there. And he was, the Senegalese people talked about him.
You know, the problem.
To go and bury that person became a problem. So it was after that incident that they came and took all the detainees out, and it was announced that they wanted to release us. Then we were brought back to the NIA. And that day it was Idrissa Job who came there. But he came with vehicles where you have paramilitary officers on board those vehicles. Then he also came with some members of some operatives of the NIA, but those people were strangers. I didn't know them before. We were brought back to the NIA and we were again locked up in cells at the NIA. They will come and call one person and take him away. Afterwards, they will come back again and call another person and go along with that person. Until they came to me and said, well, we want to release you people because you have been here for quite a long time now. They prepared a paper and told me to sign it. The paper, I don't know what was written on it because I have not gone to school. I don't know what was written there because it was in English. and I have not gone to school. And even if I had gone to school, they don't allow you, they don't give you the, they will just tell you to sign. We signed those papers, and then he told me, now you will go back to mile 2. We were taken back to mile 2 around 11 at night.
Mr. Balde, can you tell the commission how many days you spent at NIA?
Why had the commission on Balde Jel Waruda NIA?
First time go 21 days, nyanda 22 on men mile 2.
We spent 21 days at the NIA. On the 22nd day, we were taken back to mile 2 prisons.
On the 3rd June, on the
3rd of June, when we were taken to the NIA, that was the time we signed these papers and we were brought back to mile 2 prisons.
On the 10th June?
It was until after 10th of June, until on 10th of June. In the morning, they came and called us. We were made to board vehicles with the para-military officers. We were taken to Brikama Magistrates Court. And they told us that today we are going to court, and we met Magistrate Pahari Jamme.
Mr. Balde, before you were asked to board the truck, did they indicate where you were being taken to?
Police officer, prison officer number in Benkoto.
The prison officer responsible for taking prisoners to court, that was the person who just came and said, well, these people want to take you people to court today. Because you have stayed here for quite a long time, they are now afraid to just release you like that. That's the time we were taken to this magistrate court in Brikama.
How many of you were taken to the court on that day?
16 people.
I cannot quite remember, but we were either 16 or 17 of us.
Do you remember the offense you were charged with?
Yes, I can remember. We were all charged with terrorism.
Can you tell the commission what happened with the case?
And the member charging terrorism, guilty or no guilty,
When we were charged with this terrorism offense, Pahari Jame just asked us, are you people guilty? Well, we told him that none of us is guilty of terrorism here.
What the adjourned case on 2 weeks?
Then he adjourned the case for another 2 weeks. Our return for the continuation of the trial, we didn't meet him there. We met another magistrate there called Mr. Mahoney.
First time
the first prosecutor we found there didn't come that day, but the second day, prosecutor, somebody called Mr. Baku, he was the man who came there that day.
But we case on not we magistrate on Mituri Yakodala said the passport, Hankim Hindi file and fight for empty file for Mamindara.
When the case was called, Mr. Baku asked the judge to give him time, because he said that he was just given the case file just a day before the trial itself. So they should give him time to acquaint himself with the case.
Then
there's a time when Mr. Mouniny said, okay, I'll allow you time, but when you're coming back, you come with the Terrorism Act, because I don't have it with me. So from that day, we didn't go back to Brikama. We were at mile 2 until after 1 month. They took us from there and took us to the High Court in Banjul. And the man there that day was Moses Richards. Then there's a time when we started going back, coming, going and coming, going and coming. I cannot even remember the days now. The witnesses who were called to come and talk. It was only 4 people who came and spoke there. The witnesses also were just coming to say that I wrote Mr. So-and-so's testament or statement.
So you're therefore telling this commission that all the witnesses that came and testified during your case were officials?
Yoni no ini ko faada wiide commission ko woni be seede be nayo arbe be foto joni de seede yagal mabbe ngal be foko yimbe be andandama wondama hibe liggo e der gardum du woni ko police ay ma ko NIA be ko be foko ko sifa be yimbe be aduna ton goto do on meeda moyde ko keto ko to mi futti moyde ko woni independent witness.
Well, the only person who came there whom I didn't know was somebody who they said was the independent witness. He was called Tijan Ba. His name is Tijan Ba.
Continue.
When he came there, my lawyer asked me, I said, well, I've never set eyes on this man. When my lawyer asked him, well, you said you were there when Mouniny was being questioned. Now we were arraigned, and the lawyer asked him, can you identify who is Mouniny Ba? He said he cannot identify me because we are many people, and the time he saw me was quite a long time, so this is why he cannot identify me.
Joan hino ni Mr. Balde dai da way halande bi ñaawo jël bu jet
Because Mrs. Richard was no longer there. One man called Emmanuel Ipala, that day was the man who was in charge. He also took over. When we came there, he said, okay, he's going to adjourn the case for 3 weeks, which ended on the 11th of May. When we came that day was the day when we should start talking.
Judge, the judge said today is the ruling.
When we came, the judge announced that today he is going to do the ruling on that day.
Mr. Witness, you've said it occurred on the 11th of May. Can you tell this commission the year?
2011.
2011.
You may continue.
That's the time when he started reading the statements. When we when he started reading their statements and so on, he said, now, none of these people were found with weapons, so there is, therefore, well, he was
and they don't know each
and they don't know each other, even the witnesses. Well, it means that they don't know each other, the witnesses cannot identify them, and they don't know the witnesses too. And that day, yimbe na yo home onon. Four people were told that they have a case to answer, but the rest of us were told that you people don't have any case to answer for.
We have to then discharge all of them.
And then that's the day he said he's going to discharge all of us except those 4 people, they said, who has a case to answer.
Did you return to Mile 2 on that day?
Because yes, because we went back to Mile 2 because Baku said he has a case and we were supposed to say something about he's going to say something about the case. And the judge said, whatever you have, well, these people shouldn't remain at Mile 2. I will give you a chance and they will be bailed with ID cards. And we are told to inform our relatives to come with ID cards so that they can bail us, and that's the way it happened.
Police prison officer
Then we went back to Mile 2 until our relatives came and these bail documents were prepared, and that's the time Korta took care of those papers and the bails were processed. Then afterward we were released, then we were told to be going back to report. And when you go to report, they will tell you go and come back after 2 weeks. That also took another year. We were going and coming.
Can you tell this commission what happened after the year of going to court?
Hondu wadi dalila wa hala de commission hondu wadi gilanda mahitande hande mai do yaha court do yaha wada yaha ara kay nyaaw suudu nyaawor.
Ono dum bare ko comme hondu wadi ina nan question.
O wi ko hondu wadi gilanda me do wada yaha ara gilabe wadi on beel donc hondu wadi de ha hit don de hitande den huubi ko hondu wadi di.
Le me wadi yaha ara ha joni me on to me ko beel on ko me yata report on to my taywa manuel pala hoti.
Well, when we were going and coming towards the end of the year, that was the time when Manuel Ikpala went home.
After Idris Ambai, Judge Idris Ambai for the case of release.
Then it was taken over by Idris Ambai, who really later on released the case. In fact, that day I didn't go. It was my lawyer who brought the document to me.
So you were eventually acquitted and discharged by the court?
Yes, I was released by the court.
Mr. Balde, can you tell this commission the effect that your detention and torture had on you and your family?
John, Mr. Balde, no ini nahida wai hala the commission ngol nangu gol mo watu wonno da ngol jungo fop dum ko hondum cadela dum addi e ma e kanyum may be ngura ma den watu mo jo wonno da e jungo ko hondum addi e ma tampere nen kanyum may lappugol ko be lappu mako.
No tampere ne dum no wayi ko tampere amin bando amin dan ko no me wayi de tampere be ngura ne ha hande mi do wonde mum.
I can say the suffering I went through up to this day, I feel the pain on my body. Except the pain my family also felt, but personally, I think I felt more pain than anybody else in the family.
That's what I mean, business money. Because
since I was born, I was reared by my uncle in business, and I also went on with the same business. Until when I started my own business, I had a small family. I didn't have any problems. Things were going fine for me. Things went up to a point when the suffering went to a head, up to the point that my wife was evicted from the house or from the compound we were staying. That's why she went to Abuko. I was even planning to build my own compound, but things went haywire because of this problem. The house we were occupying, we used to pay 600 at the end of the month. But later on, she was unable to pay.
They want maybe visit or me Johnny Koto, me actually food they said I'm here, at least Hakilan and Kabaka occupy.
That was the time when a visitor came to me and said, he was my younger brother. He said, can you leave me to go along with the business so that we will be earning something to help the family with? And what was happening in those days, if my wife goes to the market on a Monday, she will not be able to go to the market again until the following Monday. That was the time when my brother said he wants to do some business so that they can have something to sustain the family with. It is today that I am able to narrate this case. It was that time that she had this problem. Up to this point, if some things happens which shocks him, he will even fall down and faint. And this went on because even if I quarrel with her, when she becomes so highly agitated, she will fall down and faint. Even the doctors at Fajikunda now know about this problem. So this is why I changed and calmed down, and any person, the way you grow up and as far as you are getting old, you will become wiser. Well, but at that time, my son had started going to school when this problem happened. Then there was a time when he has to leave school because of the problems. He sat down for 2 years without going to school. When I was having this problem, when this problem was happening, he was going to a private school. Then my wife took him to the school at Abuko. He should have gone to grade 12 last year, but because of this problem, he sat down for 2 years. It's now that he's able to go to grade 11. Yeah, this is why right now, as he is growing up, now afterwards, he is now going to do law. He wants to do law. Because the reason why I don't want to come out plain for people to see me on TV, it was him who begged me. He pleaded with me, saying that I have many friends and I don't want them to see you plainly like that, and they will now understand what has happened to you and they will know the reason for my problems. If it is suffering, because up to now I am still renting, we are still suffering. The day I came out of this problem, when where my wife was selling, she had some money with her, which was about $5,000. It was this 5,000 that I found at home. It was because of Allah who protected me. I didn't fight with people. Because when I was with myself and by myself, I didn't make myself too big over the people. I kept a low profile. This is why people also were able to go along with me. Because that's why I am still struggling to make things, to make ends meet. And as far as now the family is a little bit larger, to find something to sustain them is really difficult. But still I will say thanks to Allah, because it was Allah who is sustaining us.
Mr. Balde, it is also correct that you're telling this commission that you did not get to see your newborn baby.
We know what ini ka fa abi commission wonda ma bobo ma keso jibina don ayano mo.
From the date of her birth until when you were released.
Yanda manyalande o jibina den ha ko nyalande de akita den ko nyande isi teguda yitere ma e makko.
Nonde minaba court maybe 2 years.
The day we went to court was the day I saw the baby. By that time, he was 2 years old.
After case of court, we didn't warrant at the castle, may he visit.
And a warrant was written which was brought to the prison, and that was the time we were allowed for a visit.
So maybe one detention 2 years, court 2 years.
And my detention was 2 years.
The trial also.
And the trial also took 2 years.
4 years wa me paso ko maybe nanga na on the 26 May come 2007 come acha ko on the 11 May 2011.
From 2007 when I was arrested and I was released in May 2011. So I spent 4 years in incarceration.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Mr.
Chair, thank you. I have no more questions for this.
Thank
you very much indeed, Council, and thank you, Mr. Mouniny Balde, for your testimony. And I'm truly sorry that you had to suffer so much in the hands of the NIA. You weren't the only victim. It turned out that the entire family suffered. Hands of the NIA.
You know, ini wana antango to hebi chale de wana antango to hebi metter de kono hay be ngure ma dem fodum memo ite dum fono hebi jungo hombe ko duwoni be liganto be leydi ning.
Really sorry about that.
Himo yama motoro yafu e do dum don ko hebu makon.
Commissioners, if you have any questions, please indicate. Deputy Chair, you have the floor.
Ni mulando commissioner ben e do ko halda do ko kala jogido ko fala ma landade no way hollirde jonnon ko don hikkiro e makko ko woni deputy kia on kon kadi himo hebu ko landoto ma.
Thank you, witness.
Himo ajarama sede Mr. Balde.
I want to go back a little bit to when you were at Kotu police station.
We can go dal ko fala rutitade bawo seda ko woni wattu mo jamanu mo be nanguno ma on ko woni Kotu police station.
You were suffering from claustrophobia.
We da hebuno nyaw go witedo claustrophobia.
He could not breathe.
We woni awata fofude.
And to the extent that you asked the officers if they could allow you to sit outside.
We ha hewti wattu wiida wonde ma tirda dum woni police abbe wonde ma sibe jonnete sibe wawata ma yafaade pour be yaltina ma ka yasi jododa ka yasi.
Did they allow you to sit outside?
Ndabe jonno be jabuno pour jododa ka yasi.
Yes, I was allowed to sit out.
Thank you.
Ajarama.
Thank you, Commissioner Njalo.
Commissioner Njalo won ma elandade.
Sede,
We said
ang amedi metere aduna fo. You have tested all the sufferings of the world. Ngal pewal kadi lamdo e lamibe. And the injustice was caused by people who were in government. Sadari yesuto. If you look in front on the other side, ino winda to never again duwatata hankadi aduna. What is written there is never again, no more recurrence of what has happened. If something like that is existing in a country, what do you think should be the path for the people so that a reoccurrence of this will not happen again? Because you have gone through all the hardships. Please forgive for all what has happened to you. What I want is for you to tell the whole world from your own mouth so that something like this will not happen again. Thank you.
Randy, mean, Kuburi me for the Adogal Mara to testify.
You know what really pressed me to come here and testify? So that people will understand that every single person working in a government, whatever is your duty or your work, you should know what you are supposed to do. Because for me, I know that God doesn't give everything entirely to the person. He gives you to take care of it. If you don't learn or you don't have any knowledge, and your child should have knowledge and learn, well, it's all right. But whatever is remaining, Allah just takes things and trusts to a person. Until the day Allah takes you away, then that thing goes away. If you look at us here, it is the people who are in the panel here. But all those people in the government will not ask God for their bad names or for them to be mentioned here adversely. But if you are afraid of the panel, then you should think of it between yourself and Allah. And that's something which will have to happen one day. Whatever a person does is for yourself. You can trouble somebody, because maybe it might be a destiny from God, but you yourself will also have your own share one day. Because those people who were beating me, some of them found me at mile 2. They were also incarcerated. But when they came, some of them found it very difficult to even look at me. But when they came and found me there, I didn't look at them with bad eyes, because I know we were all in the same problem. I believe that it was Allah who gave them that power. But now, Allah has taken that power from them. I know that every country, there will be people with power. But if you are entrusted with that power, have it properly, do things accordingly. If you are behind the law, yes, do things according to the law. But if you do it that way, you will not suffer. But if you do the wrong way, you will face the consequences one day. Constitution Gambia 72 hours. Because according to the Gambian Constitution, it says that 72 hours, if you arrest somebody, he should either be taken to the court or bailed. But now, you detain somebody for 2 good years. And later on, you were not charged with anything, just to tell you that you are charged with terrorism. What has happened has happened. But I'm very happy with the TRRC. Yes.
Thank you for those remarks. And neither the Constitution nor the laws of the Gambia authorize the NIA to abuse the human rights of any individual.
We ajara makiaman we ajara wana constitution non wana loi lady nding hay goto yamirar NIA be burbe nanga neddo be jodina madula goto buri wattu mo halda do.
Imam C, you have the floor, please.
Imam C, Commissioner Imam C, kadi wamma erda e landawal.
Chairman Moumini.
Saying, Mr. Moumini.
Jarama.
Thank you. I am also appealing to you for forgiveness. Because of the suffering you encountered and you were offended. What I am asking you is for 2 things. Because the way they arrested you and the suffering they meted out to you. And during those days you were doing a very big business.
Now I told the bagas, now I told bagas owner in a Judy Palace.
because you were having things for business, and maybe those things were placed at a place for business.
Kuna musuma on bagas ma bara danya hen problem he chedele he makko pascal modo business kam ko ma belondira.
Because what I'm asking about is those materials that you brought for business. Did you have any problems with them later on, or what has happened to them? Somebody who has just closed from work came home, and you sat in your house until at night, then they come and arrest you, and you were doing a big business. That's a big problem. The second thing is, the day they told you that, well, what you've said to us here is the truth. If you speak the truth, you would not have suffered. The person they brought there, who also testified and told them that this man didn't do anything. What was their accusation on you and that man? This is what I want to ask. He himself, that man, I don't know what problem he had with them. Because they took him to court and he was having an ID card. They discovered that the man is not a Gambian.
4 years.
He was tried and locked up and jailed for 4 years. Well, after he was jailed, I didn't know what else happened, but we were all detained, we were all in jail together. But after the man told them that, what if this man is innocent, he did nothing wrong, well, that's all where I ended with him. About the problem you asked for the business, for the merchandise, that's where everything died. My business died there. The money I left at home and with my wife, that's the money they were living on, that's the money they were using for anything that the family needs, and that's the same money that they were coming to collect from my wife until the money was completely spent.
$40,000.
In fact, somebody also owed me $40,000. Then one day I was able to send somebody to that man so that he can give that $40,000 to my wife for fish money. Well, at that time there were good people. Because some will go and buy a bag of rice at night and take it to my home, but they were all afraid to come out in the open. They will even tell my wife, even if Mouniny is released, don't tell him that I did this for him or for you or for the family. Because it was Allah who put us all together. Yes, this is how my family survived.
Thank you. Commissioners on my right, and Commissioner Kinte, you have the floor, please.
Commissioner Kinte, gadi wamma air de landawa.
Assalamu alaikum, Mouniny. We have been highly touched by the encounter, the trauma you encountered. I just want to ask one or two questions. One of them is, Musa Kinte took up to 70,000 from your wife. After 4 years, you have been vindicated and released. Did you make any effort to recover this amount from Musa? If you did, what were the results?
We the one awoni dubi nay e jungo gilanda ma yahuda ha accituda hettuda hoore ma nda awa jettuno fewjoro nden pour wawa hettuda di ngudi e jungo Musa si tawno a jettuno fewjoro nden ko hon dum kadi wonno sakkitoron dum nda awawno di hettude
hettano de pastor be no mai.
I never got that money back. I was informed that Musa Kinte died.
Commission oyano Ghana ta on to midenga kaso.
They said he went for a mission in Ghana when we were in prison. They said he suffered stomach ache in Ghana and that's where he died.
Yes, that's true. The second question is, you said they went on collecting more and more money from your wife. Can you give one or two examples where, and the amounts they have collected from your wife to have drained her of the amount you had reserved at home?
Misal ko watu hondu jamanu watu hombo be hada be jetta kalisi jungo be nguma ha dum ko andanda ma wonda o kalisi fo mo accuno da jungo mabbe be sibi din don ngudi fo e jungo makko
labi didi we don kat ko kiki do at around 5.
They went there on 2 occasions. He used to go there around 5 p.m.
Ari nyanda wote no wi mo joni andara rek mi jonna yeso babe mawbe amembe o famini joni ko walla la wurida
one day
to mo jetta o wi mo jen o wi joni dar ko jogi da way mo wi ma anda gulu capantati mo jetti joni mo ari o wi ruto e kado jetti gulu capannay.
These 2 occasions, the first time he came, he explained to my wife that, well, they'll be able to release me, but you have to give us some money. That's the first time he gave him $30,000. The second time that he came was the time he was given $40,000.
Mouniny, Musa's case is clear to me. I said, you told us you had something like $2,000 aside, $450,000 aside and so on. But you made in your remark that they gradually went on collecting money from my wife. In that case, yes, I was trying to get 1 or 2 examples and the amounts, apart from the one affecting Musa.
Musa kon dum laabi kono a wi do nder haala ma wonde ma accuno don gilabe nanguno ma accirno modi be nguma dollar guluji didi te accirno mo kadi marno don kadi kalisi ko yada guluji temede na cappa temede jowi e jum e suka nder suudu don joni a wi kadi ka nder haala ma wonde wattu e wattu be ara be jetta seeda jungoje be nguma joni ko dum o faala labbinde ko dum o faala pour labbinanama ko din don muudi ko hono be sibbi wade di seeda be ya be jetta seeda ha dum don fo be wawi dim fo siibade jungo be nguma.
Yes, whatever happens, to tell the truth is better than anything.
Exactly.
It was only Musa Kinte who took that 70,000. And on their side, apart from Musa Kinte, nobody went there for money. Yeah, because as far as I was not working, the businesses and what my family was living on were all going to the marabouts, and they were just spending the money like that. It was from my family who were spending the money, going to the marabouts, and the sustenance of the family. This is how all the money was spent.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Bishop, you have the floor, please.
Commissioner Bishop Kadiwi Mariko Orlando Toma.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Mouniny Balde.
Mr. Mouniny Balde.
You had a shop before you were arrested. And I suppose you had some merchandise in that shop. What happened to them after your arrest?
Everything got spoiled. It just went like that.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Mr. Balde, if you have any concluding remarks to make, please proceed to make them now.
Ini joni kia man ko ne wide kon ko don am Mr. Balde an said on joni ka wando sita mari an kade ko faala da haalude uddurgol haala maka e yamirore da wayi haalde
ko gonare si yawti haray haalangol wombe ka laamube.
Well, that's okay. Apart from something that I want to tell the people in government. Looking at the TRRC, there is one problem about mile 2. Whatever they do for mile 2 is small. Not only for food or where to spend the night.
95% cases in mile 2.
Not, I cannot say about 100, but 95% of the cases at mile 2.
Parce que netto kala ko wawi wadde so naati mile 2 rek wada guilty. Anda gon won problème makko. Sada ton ka pirisina rek anda gon won problème makko.
Because anyone who goes into mile 2, very shortly the person becomes guilty.
Ibe jogi dum be wada sentence kaso ji goddi sikkaade problème on no jarito.
There are certain sentences they put on people I don't think is worth the crime they committed. Somebody like Samba Doroba who once testified here.
Baba Galle
came here. I saw them on TV.
Mitawaka problem on problem economy andi non ko he me haldi ko no buro taginade be wano hebde ko wona on their sentence.
I was not well present when their crimes were committed or when they committed those crimes. But I sat with them in prison. We discussed, and the life sentence really was too much. If there is any way that help can be extended to these people, I know the suffering at mile 2, but some help can be extended to mile 2 so that the suffering will decrease. When I went to mile 2, Sambadoro was going to court at the time. If they want to send me to buy something like sugar or whatever they want to eat, my younger brother will just say that he came to visit Sambadoro. At that time he was not yet convicted. Because at that time they don't allow visitors for me. That was the time when he was bringing things for me through Sambadoro. Until after they were convicted, I don't have the mind just to look at these people at mile 2. I cannot look at you and leave you there like that. I cannot. It was hard. Mile 2 is very hard. Nobody should make the mistake of going to mile 2. Things like stealing a goat or even stealing clothes shouldn't make somebody to be incarcerated. A lot of them are there. It's just a mistake while they are in there. I swear, if you bring them out today, they will never commit those types of crimes. I don't have any powers, but what I can do is to appeal. When I came out of mile 2, it's more than a year now, more than 10 years now. But still, if I pass by the door of mile 2, it will appear to me that I just left the prison just a day before. What I feel. Those on the confinement, they go, when they are going to ease themselves, they go out with buckets. Somebody living that kind of life for 2, 3 to 4 years, it's very difficult. Even if you are accused, what you have accused is true, really, much more if you are accused of something that you didn't commit. I will not say that it's true that these things they committed is really worth, but really, there are a lot of people in the prison who has regretted ever being taken into that place. I still feel the pain of mile 2 because I know what is going on there, and the people in there, I know what they are going through.
Mi meda wulude hagila minanga mi meda wulude mi lapa ko mi lapa mi wulani kono nyande be wino lam mi wadi firi mi do yalta mayto mi wuludo mi wawade wayno hay e goto.
When I was arrested, I never cried. The day they beat me and did everything to me, I never shed a single tear. But the day they told me that you are released from mile 2, I cried like a baby on that day because of the feelings I have and what is happening in mile 2. It was on a Wednesday in the morning. There was a soldier called Aliuba. In fact, he is now passed away. He has now passed away. It was the morning when he came to me and told me, younger brother, I said yes. He told me, today you will be going home. If you have something to eat, bring it so that we can eat it. But you will go home today. I told him, why are you saying this? On what do you base this statement on? I'm going to court, and you are telling me that I'm going home today. He told me if I had given you this information before, you will be in a hurry for this day today. But today, your food is finished from this jail. I laughed. I said, hey, elder brother, this is what you are telling me. He said, yes, I'm telling you the truth. I had some sardines plus bread, myself, elef jamme. I brought it and we ate. We ate and we went out and we went prepared and went to court. When we were coming back, he opened the door and he was standing outside. He told me, younger brother, how are things? I said, yes, we have been released. But at that point, I was so excited that I cannot speak, I cannot say anything. We went in and sat down until when Kerr came and with those documents and said, well, everything is here. Aliulo came here, and at that time he was also one of the detainees. He came to me and said, Boy Pulo, what's happening? Why are you crying so much? And at that time, I cannot even joke with him. I was unable to talk to anybody or to tell anybody anything. The time I was going out of the prison, I was crying like anything. I was there until in the Ramadan on a Thursday, but it has been a long time after my release. That soldier Aliuba I mentioned went to the hospital. He called me. Then he gave a note to a nurse, Fatou Camara, and told her to call me to inform me that there is a prisoner here called Aliuba. I was in Banjul, then I came straight to the hospital. I came there because all the guards there, we knew one another, we were all acquainted. Because he was, something was prescribed for him. Then I took out $400 and gave it to him for him to go and buy the medicine. I gave the money to the nurse. She said no. I gave it to the guards. And he told me, whatever you hear, if you have not cried, then it's not finished. He said, well, the suffering has ended. On the Thursday at night, when they were released from the prison, on the following Thursday, early in the morning, one prison officer called me
Alandi be waro ko toma.
He told me, do you know that your elder brother has been executed? I said, who? He said, Aliuba. They came for them last night. Aliuba, Elef Jamme, Lamin Jaju, Dauda Bojang. They were the people I was very, very well acquainted with because we used to sit down together at the same place. I was so shocked. 2 days I didn't go out of my compound. What I can say about Mile 2 is if there is any way that they can help these people. I'm not saying all of the people in Mile 2, but there are some people who really should be helped. Yes, if those people can be helped, I'll be very happy. If I say anything that's wrong here, please forgive me. I'm just human.
Thank you very much, Mr. Balde, for those remarks.
Mr. Balde, we kiaman wi ajarama no fewiri e nder ngol halama moƴƴuka.
Thank you especially for adding to the information that we've had when we had the prison hearings concerning conditions at the Mile 2 prisons.
Joni kadi ajarama ko yewtore nde yewtuɗa e torogal ngon toɗɗa ɗo ngol sengo e kasongon te min fewjino ɗo kadi min yewtino ɗo kadi sengo kasongon kadi no wayiri noon toon no walori noon.
We also thank you for testimonies regarding the extraordinary violations and abuses perpetrated by agents of the NIA.
Ha joni kala mi yettima de yewtere ma nde yewtuɗa ɗo nden ko andandama o nden no fewti e sababu ɗum woni yimɓe ɓe andandama heɓe liggano laamu ngun koɓe tampinma kon e yimɓe woɓɓe ɓe ɓe andana ɓe bonni gueɗal maɓɓe ko andandama wonnan ko gueɗal maɓɓe te ko Allah yeɗi ɓe ɗum.
We thank you for coming to testify before the commission.
Yettima pour arugol ma pour jonnigol seedeyagal ma ngal yeeso commission on ɗo.
We will take a lunch break and then resume at 2:30.
Nini joni mi yewda fotandegol ɗum woni gottare e juulugol min ruttitoto mi ara ɗo e ɗum woni wattuji ɗiɗi so yawti minute aji 30.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Sexual violence is a global phenomenon. The World Health Organization estimates that 35% of women have experienced sexual violence. In fact, the WHO calls the issue rampant.
But sometimes he would take his fingers and put it in my private part.
My foster mother's son sexually abused me at 9.
When I drank the water he gave me, I became lost and helpless. He did what he wanted.
He had sex with me and took my virginity. And then one thing led to another. He raped me.
And so now we start to break the silence. We begin to tell our stories as slow and as painful and as anonymous as they are. Sexual violence is